So how exactly would we know that the throne of God is near? Well, throne of God, aka Nibiru complex, whatever you want to call it, but Nibiru is the throne of God. I mean, everything about. I've done 3-part video on it. You check it out. There's a playlist. I'm not going to go into it right now, but when Nibiru or the throne of God comes near to us, there's going to be major earthquakes, and this is like the earthquake as it locks onto Earth, and then he's going to turn us around. He's going to turn the whole earth around like he did in the day of Jesus' resurrection. But there is going to be major earthquake as he locks on and as he locks off. So there's got to be an object out there that is not on our solar system sites, and scientists are not telling us about, for it to come past Earth real close, and for all them things to happen, just like electromagnetic magnets or energy or electricity or whatever, or light even, as it gets closer to us, it's going to become more strong. Now, here I've made a video where we map out earthquake projections for 2016. Now, this is a summary of these 7 videos that I made. Each video talks about how Earth will be affected from conjoining the Sun and other planets coming in as a conjunction or lining up with Earth, and this creates an electrical magnetic buzz shock to Earth. And during that short period where we are in its field of electricity, there's earthquakes. The earthquakes rise all over the Earth, and then they drop down again when they stop lining up. It's just like wiring 2 batteries together. If you wire them together, the current increases, and it's the same with the earthquakes. The earthquakes increases. So there will be earthquakes ramping up when the throne of God is drawing near. It's been in all the movies as well. And also, to add to that, everything else follows suit. So the storms will be worse, the magma start roiling to the surface, and there'll be more volcano eruptions. The electromagnetics disturbs the soil of the earth, so there'll be more sinkholes. All of these different facts. The auroras in our atmosphere will start to shine a lot more. But I just want to stay on track with the earthquakes. Now, in this video, we finally mapped out some sort of projection on what the earthquakes will do. As you see, they rise slightly here. And during the time of June, Saturn will create a large trend in earthquakes, that they'll go higher during this period of time and then drop down, and then you'll have short bursts of higher earthquake activity during these times, Mercury, and they're all plotted out. But how would we know that the earthquake is from God, is what I'm trying to get down to here. Now, the answer being is, well, just know when the earthquakes are not from God. And that is this situation here, where we have planets which we know all about, Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, whatever. And we know all about these. And by me keeping record over the nearly 2 years now, I've able to have the earthquake numbers going up and down, but then later on, as I've learned more, I've able to match these earthquakes to planetary conjunctions that we had. This is how we're able to look into the future, so to speak, and create projections by using the same rule. The same planets are going to pass through at the same distance, and they're going to create roughly the same effect. So we're going to, as a rough guide, we're going to end up with a earthquake trend through next year, which kind of looks like this. So the only real way you're going to know that God's throne is coming in, and that's what's going to happen with the big earthquake, the pole shift, the big earthquake, the rapture, and everything happening, is that if the earthquakes differ from this rough estimate, then that would be a sign that these earthquakes were coming from God. Because these earthquakes are not from God. These are natural from the planets which are in our solar system around our Earth. But if the earthquakes differ for whatever reason, now I'm just in Paint at the moment, so let's just, not too familiar with Paint, but let's just try something. Let's just say, for an argument's sake, that God would come down to Earth for the rapture, and he would come down. Let's say he would pass over again on the Passover, like he did in Moses' day and like he did in Jesus' day. So let's say he passes over on the Passover. Now we know that the Passover next year will be roughly around the backside of April. It's around the 20th or the 22nd, around that sort of date. So let's say he does pass over, and this is when everything's, just as an example, as something to, continue this example of how you'd know that, God is passing over, God's throne is coming. So like end of April-ish time, mid, so you're looking about that area. Now when he comes, there's going to be massive earthquakes. So let's just put like a marker up here. So with it being such a big event, though, you would expect, this is what I mean, if he wasn't coming, then you'd expect, earthquakes to stay normal and then go up slightly, and ping up where the planets will cause the Earth's electromagnetic energy to increase and then cause the earthquakes to rise also. But if God's coming, it's going to be severe, but it would peak. I mean, what I'm trying to say is you wanted to be looking about, let's say the earthquakes started to do something along these lines. You know what I mean? You'd get to like February, or this quiet time here between mid-February, nothing's really happening. Okay, so between 5 and 10, but let's say the earthquakes were at 15 and were still rising, and then you got to the end of March, and the earthquakes are up to 20, which is like a danger point. Anything above 20, 22 is like a danger point. That's why Saturn is the biggest creator of earthquakes in our solar system. When we pass between the sun and Saturn, things go whoosh straight up. But if the throne of God's coming, what I'm trying to say is Saturn will take a month or so. So you're looking at the 1st of May is the time, when Saturn will start to impact. It will peak up there, and then we'll drop down, and then you'll be, like I said, it'll take quite a few, about a month to do all that. But my main point anyway is that you wouldn't want to be looking for a inconsistent rise in the earthquakes when they're actually, not supposed to be, they're supposed to be around this area, and let's say, they're at this height, and increasing, then that will be, it might happen really fast, it might happen gradually. It'd be nice, if we had a, gradual, but I don't think it will be. I think it will be more like the first line here, that it'll go up slowly and then it'll go whoosh straight up to a peak, and then bang, it hits us. Like I say, Passover was just an example. It's just an example of a time. Thanks for watching. God bless you all. Amen.